Global Tea Break today, food, glorious food in London. And when I decided I was going to do food, there was only one person that I could possibly ask to join me on this, and that is my lovely friend, David, who I am just going to try and find. I saw him pop up. Where is he gone? Here we go. So I'm going to ask David to join me. And we're going to have a little chat about some of the top foodie places in London. Now, Dave has made it. Hello, how are you?
Hello!
I'm afraid you've got me without makeup today. I haven't got around to putting any makeup on.
Well, you've got me with a funny haircut.
Yeah, you got your crazy Mohican haircut happening
The
now.
barber fairies attacked me in the night.
Very careless of you to let them in, frankly.
I know.
So Dave is a bit of a big foodie, really. You kind of take it almost as your personal mission to go and test everything in London, from street food to fine dining. It's kind of your passion, isn't it? Working your way around London and all the kind of fantastic dining opportunities there are.
Oh, most certainly, yeah. I mean, I also like my fitness, but I'm not kind of one of these people who does fitness to get this perfect body. It's basically so I can just eat whatever I like. So, and London, you're spoilt for choice.
You really are. And it's funny because, one of the things, oh, sorry, hang on, I just realised, one of the things that that people always think about with London is that the food's terrible. Everyone says, and there's still jokes about it now. You see it in movies about, England, all bad food. And, if you'd have been here in the 70s, that's true. But it's not really the case now, is it?
Oh, heaven no. I mean, I think even New York critics, a lot of restaurant critics in New York, and, it's probably hard for some of them to stomach, no pun intended. But yeah, I mean, they're literally putting London right at the top of sort of food destinations. Yeah. I mean, it's not quite number one on the sort of Michelin stars. You've got Japan there and France, but I mean, yeah, it gives you how bad the reputation was, how much it has risen.
Yeah. And one of the things that people always think about, is sort of the bad, stodgy pub food, which, I always say to guests when they come to London, you must eat in a pub. It's kind of a practically law, isn't it, to go and eat in a pub?
Most definitely, yeah.
And some people sort of say, but how do I know what I'm going to get, and how do I know that it's going to be a good pub food? And the key really is to get a recommendation from somebody, because some pubs are amazing. Where would you start as a kind of pub connoisseur? What would be your top picks?
Well, obviously we haven't got, because we're going to cover so many bases. I'd probably have a top 5 of every single thing, but I've just picked 2 today, and I find that a lot of the best pubs tend to be out of the centre, which I think is not a bad thing, because it just gives you an opportunity to explore a bit more outside the sort of tourist remit. So the first one I picked is the Grapes, which you can easily walk to be honest, from the sort of city, from the Tower of London. It's a nice, lovely little walk. And it is owned by a bit of a treasure of ours called Sir Ian McKellen.
Gandalf.
If his name, yeah, exactly. If his name doesn't ring a bell, he is, of course, Gandalf and also Magneto. So I think he's probably right up there as one of the top box office earning actors.
Absolutely.
Don't know how he sees it. I know Maggie Smith, I heard recently, because obviously she's done Downton and, oh, good to help me. Harry Potter, that's the
yeah, Harry Potter.
And she says, obviously, they pay the rent, but, it's kind of all her great acting is kind of forgotten about. And it's probably the same with Ian McKellen.
Yeah, I guess so. And he lives right next door, doesn't he? Well, a couple of doors down, and he part owns it. And they do a pub quiz on a Monday night, which he regularly goes to and often reads the questions, doesn't he?
And in fact, we weren't lucky enough to get him, but we have done said pub quiz and, of course, won it.
We won it, didn't we?
Which then led me to eat there. And I don't generally eat pies too much, but his pies there were sensational. And I think they do a pie of the day. I think the one I had was a peppered steak. And I was actually just bringing up the menu. And they do shepherd's pie as well, which is I would say, very English. And they actually calls it Sir Ian's shepherd's pie. And it says, so good it'll turn a vegetarian. So.
Well, there you go. And shepherd's pie is not something you find regularly in pubs, actually, is it? It's more of a, you can find it occasionally, but it tends to be more a sort of a home-cooked thing rather than in the pubs. Yeah,
most definitely. And I always used to kind of get mixed up shepherd's pie and cottage pie, but shepherd's pie, there's kind of a clue in that it's sheep, so it's lamb, and then cottage pie would be beef. Yeah,
beef, normally.
And way back before, we were having pie and chips there. Charles Dickens was a man who liked to frequent the Grapes as well. And was even known to dance on the tables.
Was he really?
Apparently so, yeah.
That's fantastic. And it's so atmospheric as well. It's really lovely. It's quite small, quite wee. So it's really, really kind of classic London pub. Now, there's another pub that you particularly like, and I have to say it's on my list as well. I've
magically, you know, probably 10, 15 miles across town to the west side of town,
Yeah.
the rather fancy part of town. And this is the Churchill Arms, and it took its name. It used to be the Bedford Arms. It took its name from the fact that Churchill's grandparents used to drink there. So they renamed it after the Second World War, of course, with Churchill becoming such a legend. But as you can see by it, it is known for its incredible display. So it's won all sorts of gardening awards. It's even got a Chelsea Flower Show award.
It's impressive.
The picture we can see now, it has 93 trees.
Yeah, for Christmas.
And 21,500 lights, which is almost double Harrods.
It's outstanding.
Far away and probably about 50 times the size.
Yeah, I know, right? And so most of the year, it's floral, and then at Christmas it becomes this amazing display. And actually, it's not just the outside. It's sometimes, more style over substance, but not at this pub. The food there is fantastic, isn't it?
Yeah, well, but one thing to point out, because you should, if you've got the time to allow to go there, definitely check it out. Because inside you've got all this wonderful Churchill memorabilia. Rather ironically, it's been run by Irishmen for about the last 35 years. One had done 32 years, just very recently left, Jerry. But don't go here for your pies and your fish and chips.
No,
this is Thai food, and I think it's a pretty good claim that they claim to be. And I think it was from 1989, the first London pub to serve Thai food, which has become increasingly common. And I think because probably people didn't want that kind of, the grey beige food. Obviously, a lot of pub food has now improved massively, but Thai food is so tasty, so flavorful, and has become hugely popular here.
Yeah, yeah, and it is very, very good as well. It is such a good Thai meal at that pub. And
the back is very different. It's almost like an annex, and it's very different to the main pub.
Yeah, it's wonderful. Rachel asked, what's that called? It was the Churchill Arms, and it's up in kind of just towards Notting Hill, just up from Kensington.
It's on Kensington Church Street, which is the famous one with all the antique shops. So you see all sorts of cool things in the windows.
Yeah. And so on your little dance around town and in your quest to kind of eat absolutely everywhere, actually somebody's saying, I went there in February, was shocked about the food being Thai, expected pub food. Yeah, it's worth.
Yeah. No, you must prepare your clients for that. If you're,
yes.
I took mine in there just for drinks, I think. So.
Yeah, but it's beautiful. And the atmosphere is wonderful. And they did film. They filmed a couple of movies in there as well. Because it's really lovely, kind of old, and they've got little partitions having there. It's really rather nice.
Yeah, I think every year as well. I'm not sure of the date, but it mentions summer. They do a Churchill night, and so they kind of get themes, singers, all dressed in the kind of 40s uniforms and sing 40s. And there are loads. You can see this on their website. There's a lovely little video, and there's lots and lots of Chelsea pensioners in there who are, of course, retired soldiers who wear the famous red jackets. So I think that'd be a really fun night to go to.
I didn't know they did that. I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
We'll have to go and do that one night, Dave.
Definitely.
So when you've been doing your kind of little tootles around town and eating in all the places, where have you been that's particularly kind of different that you sort of think, that was something quite special?
Okay, well, I'm going to whisper this one because I don't want everyone knowing. Not that they're going to rush out anytime soon. But one of my absolute favourites is the Middle Temple Hall. So imagine this big grand hall, just like that, built in the 16th century, and now essentially as part of an area known for offices of our lawyers, particularly the lawyers who tend to go into the courts.
Yeah.
So this is probably set out for a wedding, but every Monday to Friday, you can go. You need to book, so probably, advise maybe doing it a day ahead, but I think even if you did it in the morning, you could get a spot. And I think they put their prices up a bit. I think it's about £30 now. And if you're less than 6, you go along and have a buffet. But seriously, I'm really not a fan of buffet food, but this is amazing. They have a choice of soups. They then have an amazing choice of salads and kind of cold meats. They then must have at least 6 or 7 mains, one of which is kind of freshly prepared, which is probably the best option if you fancy it. Then a whole range of puddings. Then an amazing cheese board. Bottled water, coffee, and it was great because it bills itself as a 3-course meal. But I spoke to one of the waitresses in there, and she was probably a little bit elderly in years, but she was clearly a Londoner, so she had this thick London accent. She's like, yeah, just take as much as you want. It's like the only thing you have to pay for is the booze, so you can quite easily make it a 6 or 7-course meal, and no one will really mind. And of course, you're dining probably amongst some of the best criminal and civil lawyers the country has to offer. So,
yeah, it's quite a little special one, little gem. So definitely pop that in your hat. And we've got a few questions coming in, but what I'm going to do is do the questions at the end, I think. If that's all right. So Hannah and Mitchell and people, we've seen some questions, but don't worry, we will get to them. And where else, Dave?
So another one, sort of very different again, is called the Vincent Rooms. The Vincent Rooms is basically a training college for Westminster Kingsway College, and it has two restaurants. It has the Brasserie, but this is the Escoffier Rooms, named, of course, after the famous French chef. And this, again, is round about £30, but you do need a bit of time with this one. You probably want to allow yourself 2 hours. So if you've got the luxury of having a leisurely lunch, I kind of got into a bit of a habit of doing it. And then I was like, okay, Dave, it's winter. Maybe you should do something a bit more productive. But it's a six course fine dining. So all the chefs, all the waiting staff, all the front of house, all trainees. And in fact, I was just looking at whatever the menu was before obviously we went into lockdown, and it was South African. I think I did a London one, a British one. They really kind of cover right across the planet, and it's just all beautifully presented. As I say, 6 courses. Some of the dishes for the South African one included venison, guinea fowl, yellowfin tuna.
30 quid, that's really quite amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing
as an experience as well. And there's another one that you mentioned to me, which is a very unusual type of restaurant, as a kind of different one that you've been to.
Are we talking about the prison?
No, we're talking about the London Shellco.
Okay, the London Shellco, sorry, yeah. I put so many.
Gets the prison.
Yeah, this is one that I think even you didn't know about this one, did you, Alex?
No, I didn't know.
And I've got a bit of an involvement in this in my cousin's boyfriend, because they've got 2 boats. I've only been on the one that actually goes along the canal. So it's a 5-course meal this time. It's £50, lunch or dinner. But it's just such a lovely part of town. So if you don't know that part of town, it goes through what we'd know as Little Venice. So it's the Regent Canal. It then goes down past Regent's Park. So you see some of these beautiful palatial homes.
And some of the zoo as well, probably, too.
What's that?
Some of the zoo as well, maybe.
Yeah. I was just about to say, yeah. And then it goes as far as the zoo. And in fact, I'm trying to think there was a program recently, and because there's a famous floating Chinese restaurant down there where the boat turns around. But yeah, it's just wonderful, because I mean, I think you'd pay £20 just for the sort of boat cruise, and then you'll get and it's all seafood and fish as well. So but a really good wine list as well. In fact, I forgot. Let me see if I can find my quote just quickly. Faye Mashlow, who's probably one of the most famous food critics in London, she said, "I loved the event. Not once did I feel like a tourist, just a Londoner walking on water."
Oh, that's a great quote.
Yeah, and Jay Rayner's another big food critic. He said they do a pretty impressive wine list as well. So yeah, it's a really nice one.
Fabulous. And you did mention a prison. So yeah, the Clink, which
probably messing with your slides there. Yeah, so the Clink. I mean, I don't think you're talking the same level of food as the others, but these days, of course, it's all about the experience.
Yeah.
And I mentioned you needed to book for the temple. You definitely need to book for this, because they need to do, safety checks and everything. But these are, of course, all low-level offenders. You're not going to get served up by a mad axeman or anything like that.
Yeah.
So,
we should point out it is actually within the prison, isn't it?
Yeah, it's in the old governor's building that's about 200 years old. And something I didn't know until just reading it recently is that I think all the furniture and furnishings in there are all made by prisoners as well. And it's something that they've got across the country. The one in Cardiff, because one of my best friends lives in Cardiff, was really hard to get into. It took me about 4 or 5 goes. Yeah, so it's just a really lovely, worthy cause, because these people are all training to do what are called our NVQs, our national food vocational qualifications in food and beverage. So yeah, I mean, everyone deserves a second chance. So it's just a great thing to support, I think.
That's Brixton Prison.
That's Brixton, this one, yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting because they are literally training them up to have a career once they're back out in society. So it's just it's fantastic, and like you say, the food is actually really, really good. It's not fine dining, but then it doesn't need to be. It's good, proper food.
But it's still a very good level. Yeah. I mean, and it's certainly more than your run of the mill. It is almost pushing towards the fine dining. There's some quite experimental dishes there. So
yeah, amazing. And then another one you mentioned to me was Bel Canto, which is this one right here.
Yeah, I mean, I haven't been here for a long time, but it's again a really cool thing, and again more of an experience. So the waiters and waitresses are all trained at some of the best academies and conservatories in the world for opera singing. And they also, bring you rather wonderful French food as well. So yeah, kind of opera and a meal all in one.
How fantastic, hey? How fantastic.
And I think it's just sort of, I think Lancaster Gate's probably about you. So it's right on the top of Hyde Park. So you can maybe go for a nice little walk afterwards or beforehand.
A little digestive walk afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
There's one which I've never been to, but I've always been quite interested, and I would kind of be up for going at some point, which is Dans le Noir, which is a very unique concept.
Yeah, no, this is one I haven't actually done yet as well. And it is a worldwide concept. So I don't know who had the first one, but I'm sure, as you know, as a French speaker, I don't, but it means in the dark.
In the dark, yeah.
So kind of a little bit similar, I guess, to, the prison idea is that all the waiters and waitresses here are all blind or visually impaired. And so everyone sits in the dark. It's all communal tables. It's kind of weird because if you go on the website, some of the food looks incredible, which you kind of feel is one thing that is actually lost in that you're not getting to see it. But I've also been to, because pop-ups and things were really big at one point. And I went to this thing whereby they kind of trick your senses. And Heston Blumenthal, another big famous chef of ours, he does things like this because he makes things like egg and bacon porridge and snail ice cream. I might have that the wrong way around. But yeah, so basically tricking your senses. So obviously you're not relying on your sense of sight. So it's all purely taste and smell. So yeah. Definitely one to try post-lockdown.
Absolutely, yeah. We can rack up a whole list of when we get out of here.
And one thing, I mean, obviously not much good to the vegetarians, but it's in a very cool part of town these days. Very much known for its sort of architecture and design studios, but what was known as London's first suburb because it bordered the original city. But what it's also very close to is Smithfield Meat Market. So I think you'll probably be fairly safe ordering the meat dishes there.
Absolutely. So it's up in Clerkenwell, which is just to the north of St Paul's Cathedral, just in that section. And like you say, really beautiful area. Clerkenwell's particularly lovely. It does still have a bit of a villagey feel to it. I mentioned briefly about kind of pop-ups, and there are quite a few pop-ups that have happened that have been a bit gimmicky, and they've not lasted too long, but I kind of felt like we should cover them a little bit just because, for the fun of it. And one of them is the Lego Cafe, which you and I were supposed to go to, and you couldn't make it at the last minute, where it was there was just Lego everywhere, and you just played with the Lego, and it was a bit mad, but you could have drinks in kind of Lego pots and things like that. It was quite mad. They did one in New York, I think, as well, didn't they?
Yeah, I mean, Lego, yeah.
Well, that sort of thing. Some are more successful than others. I think this one was okay. I think it was a bit overpriced for what it was. One of the ones that has stayed the test of time is the Cat Cafe. Lady Dinah's Cat Emporium, which is up on Brick Lane, or near Brick Lane. My friend Katie came with me instead of you, Dave. Yes, Katie came with me. So the Cat Cafe opened, I mean, gosh, quite a few years ago now, didn't it? But it's not the only one in the world.
No, I mean, they've even got one now in Stratford-upon-Avon, if anyone's doing a little Shakespeare jaunt. Yeah. I think it was the Japanese who probably launched this thing, but yeah. I'm definitely more of a cat person than a dog person, but not actually tried one yet, but yeah.
Sarah Chancellor saying her daughter loved the Serial Killer Cafe, and we haven't actually mentioned them. But we completely forgot that, didn't we?
That's funny because I was just doing my little 1 minute. In fact, I didn't get around to doing my. I'd try and do 4 a week on my YouTube, and I was doing Camden, and when I was bringing up pictures, I saw the Serial Killer Cafe. Yeah.
Yeah, and that is amazing. It started out in the East End with his two brothers who just sort of started a cafe that does cereal, and they've expanded it to do savoury stuff that's kind of then breaded in cereal and this, that and the other. But it's a really cool concept.
Well, and most importantly, they also got their alcohol licence when they just moved across the street. So.
Yes, they did. So now you can have alcoholic sort of milkshakey, cereal-y, cocktail-y things. They've made when it started out.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite funny. It's a shame we didn't have a picture of them because they're these Northern Irish twins, and they couldn't look any more hipster if they try. And all their mates and everyone else. I don't think they were very supportive. They're like, "What are you doing?" And they opened a second branch in Camden and still going strong.
I think they're up to 4 branches now, aren't they? 4.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Now there's another cafe that didn't last very long, which was the Naked Cafe, the Naked Restaurant. Which, frankly, I can't imagine anything worse, anything guaranteed to put me off my dinner than seeing.
I think this was for the younger breed. What they call these millennials, I think probably that's for them. Yeah.
That did not last
keep
long.
my bits to myself when I'm dining, I think.
I know. I mean, I just don't want to be dropping crumbs anywhere, frankly, or risking soup or anything like that. But anyway, that was here for a little while. And one that I know one of my colleagues has done, I don't know if he's watching today, is London in the Sky, which is a dining table that literally is winched up in the air. I mean, frankly, no, but, you know.
Well, I mean, the obvious question is, you know, what about the peeing?
Right? I guess so.
You can't drink too much wine when you're up there.
I know. Our lovely colleague Simon Whitehouse did it with his husband Dale a while ago, and if he's on, he can let us know. But apparently the food's really good. I mean, frankly, I don't have a head for heights, so I'd find it very tough. I'm
trying to get my head around how it works, but I've just seen there's obviously a bit in the middle where the waiters go.
Yeah, there's a crane and it winches.
I thought that'd be a lot scarier if they had to tiptoe around the outside.
Oh, Katie's done it. She says you pee before. I just hope. Just hope.
And then just take a spare bottle just in case.
Now, some of the restaurants in London have a bit of a wow factor. There's quite a few that really, you know, when you go in, you think, whoa, my goodness. And so one of those that you mentioned to me, which is someone that I love as well, is Brasserie Zedel.
Yeah, amazing.
A little bit of a secret one, actually. It's kind of, it's some, if you know it, then you know it and you love it. And if you don't know it, you'd walk past and not realise it was there at all.
Yeah, I mean, especially given its location, it's it's 30 seconds off of Piccadilly Circus, which is like our Times Square. I mean, this seems weird because I'm not a Londoner, as you can probably tell with this accent, but it's now actually 30 years since I've been in London. And I remember this as the Atlantic Bar, just because, and I think it was my 30th birthday, my uncle got me tickets to see the world premiere of the Madness musical, Our House.
Oh my goodness.
And I got to go to the after party at the Atlantic Bar afterwards.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, I can't even remember how I discovered Brasserie Zedel. And you know, you might think, oh well, you know, it's going to be £30 for mains, but it's really not. It's probably got one of the cheapest pre-theatre menus there is. It's £9.99. It's super limited, but for such amazing surroundings, it's so reasonable, and a really nice bar that has a lot of live music as well.
Yeah, Hannah's saying there's a great cocktail bar there too. Yeah, there's a cocktail bar and there is a jazz club as well called Crazy Cox. And they do loads and loads of amazing shows, like just 1 hour things. I've seen a whole variety of people there. Someone's saying great memories at the Atlantic Bar. And Rowena's saying, I thought Zedel was just a secret just for me. Sorry, Rowena, we've outed the secret there.
That's so some of your real secrets you just want to kind of keep for yourself.
I know, right? Russell says the Atlantic Bar was wild, and Russell has a wild past, so he must know about that.
Oh, okay.
One of the things I think about Brasserie Zedel is I used to live in France, and I love French food, and I think it's some of the best French food you can find in London, and very, very affordable as well. I've always been very impressed with things like their French onion soup and things that I've had in France, and only really had a good version in France, and here it is really, really good. There's another one here, the German Gymnasium, which again has a wonderful wow factor to it. Oh, can you hear me?
Yeah. Again, one that's on my list is, well, it's already as long as my arm. It will probably, well, it's not like we're going to get any new openings now, so at least it's stalled. But yeah, affording any of these places again is a bit of a worry.
Yeah.
But yeah, this actually won the world's most beautiful restaurant back in 2016.
It is gorgeous.
I think it's maybe one because obviously there's some people like my brother and other people, and I get it. You know, they don't want to pay £100 for. You know, I would do that very infrequently for a special occasion. But you know, for some people, the idea of spending £100 and £120 on food is insane, and I get that, especially when you come out and you might still be hungry. And I know my cousin's been here a couple of times, and I think she said it was good, but portions are small. So you know, be warned.
Be warned, be warned. And you mentioned earlier about London having, you know, loads of Michelin stars, somewhere that, you know, and Mitchell asked us a question a little while ago, which I was going to come back to, which he said, you know, why did it grow from being sort of terrible food up to, you know, having all these Michelin stars? Do you know what the catalyst for that was?
I think, I'm not 100% sure if there's a specific answer. I mean, I think there was probably a bit of a food revolution around the world. I mean, it will probably, it would make sense that it probably ties in with the internet and, you know, so many more TV channels. Because now, you know, every single country has got, you know, hundreds of TV chefs. I mean, probably our two most famous exports. Just quickly to jump back, going back to the Escoffier rooms, Jamie Oliver was actually an alumni of Westminster Kingsway College. Yeah. But yeah, I think there was a bit of a food revolution, and it took place on sort of all different levels. And just to kind of plug where I live, a place called Peckham, which has been dubbed the new sort of Shoreditch, the new trendy area. The burger revolution in London was said to start here when two guys were serving burgers out of a van in a car park.
Oh my goodness.
on a council estate, yeah. And then they were the guys behind Meat Market and Meat Liquor, which is a great burger chain. So yeah, I think it was just, and then also the sort of probably the green movement as well in terms of organically, sustainably produced products. I think, and because London, I think almost, I think anyone around the world would agree is definitely one of the most diverse and cosmopolitan places in the world. So you have all those influences.
Yeah, definitely. Pepe's saying Gordon Ramsay might have something to do with it, and yeah, there's probably something in that. There was the rise of the celebrity chef. Jamie Oliver's probably one of the first, quickly followed by Gordon Ramsay. There's a whole variety now, and I think them involved as well. Plus all of these shows about cooking and baking that became really popular. I think just helped. I think you're right. Everyone was sort of demanding a higher quality, and that's where it came from. And
I think there's probably a whole nother branch to it as well. These influencer people who making food basically art,
Yeah, absolutely. And talking about Gordon Ramsay, we're going to come on to some Michelin-starred restaurants.
Yeah.
There's this one here, which I just love. I've never had the chance to eat here, but the reason I love it is that fringed bit that you can see. It is like a movable fringe, sort of fabric. And inside there is a private dining table in Alain Ducasse in the
I was going to say, because I've peeked in from the lobby, picking people up, but sadly again, because I always sort of think, well, it's 120 quid or whatever for lunch. And I'm thinking...
Oh, we've lost your sound. We've lost your sound, Dave. Oh, there we go.
But yes, we've got 60, I think it's 66, 67 restaurants. We lost a couple that have Michelin stars. So we have 3 that have 3 stars. So Alain Ducasse at the Dorchester is one. Gordon Ramsay's flagship with his name is another. And then Sketch got its 3rd, which... a lot of people know Sketch because it has pod toilets that look like you're going to go in and then be cocooned and
we did mention the pod toilets on our toilet tour that we did last week as well.
Okay, brilliant.
But it is
that Sketch as well.
This is Sketch.
Yeah, because Sketch has many rooms and it has a really kind of funky afternoon tea as well.
It does, yeah. The afternoon tea is great, but it is one of the most Instagrammable restaurants in London, and you find it just all over the place.
Yeah, no, I've never seen that picture. That's fab. I've only seen the pink interiors. But just to mention a couple of the 2-star ones as well, which again I haven't had the pleasure of going to yet. But Claire Smith, who's from Northern Ireland, she runs one called Core by Claire Smith. And she was actually head chef at Gordon Ramsay, and she's the only woman to run a 3 Michelin star restaurant. And just to point out, if you're not a foodie, 3 Michelin stars is as good as it gets. We actually had another one called Araki, Araki, which is a Japanese chef, and it was literally just 10 seats. But the chef went, so it got all its 3 stars instantly, but then lost them instantly as well. But yeah, I think Core by Claire Smith is probably one of the hot tickets because she's not been around she's not had her own restaurant that long. So yeah, maybe I'll see if she's taking bookings in October or something. I don't know.
Let's add it to the list with the money we haven't got. Yeah.
And have you got us a picture of Bibendum? Or?
Oh, do I ever?
Oh, look at that. Smooth. Yeah, I mean, I think you've just got to go here because it's probably the most beautiful building in London. If you like Art Deco. Don't think my mum's watching at the minute, but I think that'd probably be her favourite building.
And at the top here, the little creature in the stained glass is the Michelin Man.
Yeah.
Because it used to be a garage, didn't it? It was a garage.
Yeah.
Which, for cars. And it was a Michelin garage. And it's then been transformed into this amazing restaurant. But the architecture is just beautiful. It's so, so gorgeous.
Yeah. And again, you're very close to sites that you're probably going to visit there. If you go into the museums, natural history, science, V&A, just down the road.
Just around the corner. Now, for the people like you and me who obviously have no cash at the minute, where are we going to eat? What are we going to do?
Well, at the minute, you can all come round here. I've been cooking all sorts of treats. But yeah, street food is probably going to... And to be fair, I mean, if you've got the cash to spend at fine dining, that's fine. But I think street food is the most now kind of food thing going on at the minute. This is Borough Market, which is probably London's most famous market. There's been a market here for over 1,000 years. In the 90s, it kind of had a bit of a revamp, and now it's 6 days a week. Well, not now, but
not yet. Well, actually, no, it is.
Yeah, and it's it's grown massively. So you've still got all the sort of produce, the fruit and veg, the meats, the cheeses, but then you've kind of got places where people go on a lunch and have Thai food, have Italian, have posh burgers, have Eritrean food. So it's all there.
Absolutely. Actually, Borough Market has stayed open throughout the whole of this.
Yeah. Sorry, yeah, of course it has. Yeah.
Lunch spots are not, but anywhere for produce, cheeses. I mean, the truffle stall apparently was open the other day. You can go, you can buy, and they've got big signs that basically say buy what you want, then off you go. But you can also order from them. And we got a delivery last week. We treated ourselves to some outrageously expensive cheeses and mushrooms and things, and they do deliver. So if you are in London and you fancy a bit of a splurge on some nice food, then that's an amazing one. Borough Market is very, very famous, very popular, but there are some other street food places.
Yeah,
like,
so if you want to avoid the crowds, which one are we looking at there, Alex?
This is Spitalfields, so this is not really avoiding the crowd yet. That's the end.
But yeah, I mean, this is another great destination. It's not just like Borough Market. Don't go there in the evening because you won't find anything.
Yeah.
But essentially 9 till 5, Monday to Sunday. And it's kind of grown. It had a few places in the corner, which was kind of burgers, Indian, fish and chips, and then in the middle now you've actually got sort of. In fact, I think you'll correct me if I'm wrong. I think isn't it basically curated by the guy who set up Chiltern Firehouse, which was the kind of big restaurant to go to, which is a bit of a split one because it was very much a celebrity hangout, but it kind of got a lot of press for being most overpriced and a bit
stuffy as well, a bit, yeah.
But everyone who I've spoke to firsthand has had great experiences there. So yeah, you're almost kind of getting fine dining coming to the street food arena now. So
yeah. Pepe said Nuno Mendes, yes, and so the bit in the middle, which is this section here, is now static and it's fixed. It's called the Kitchens at Spitalfields Market, and they are using it's local producers, so it's local foodie places, and I mean there's all sorts. There's dumplings and bao buns and fish and chips and you name it. It is phenomenal. So it's
one of my favourite, which I'm not sure if it was still there, but is one called La Pette. And their main restaurant is very, very close, and it's Burmese.
Burmese,
so
isn't it? That's
a food that you're not going to find on every street corner.
No, absolutely not.
In fact, I went for a friend's birthday, and it's along the lines of sort of curry. So it's almost like sort of Southeast Asia meets sort of Indian food. It was very, very good.
It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And so then some other markets here, which have a little run through a couple of them. So these are the sort of more markets that.
This is more on our manner, isn't it?
Yeah,
yes. I mean, you can walk to here from Borough Market. Is it Friday, Saturday, Sunday now? Is it?
Yeah.
Well, now.
Friday, Saturday at least. I'm not sure about Sunday.
And I think Sunday, because I don't know what it is. Sunday always just seems to be a slightly quieter day than Saturdays, because it is essentially this sort of it's old railway arches, isn't it? So,
yeah. And there's loads of breweries, beer breweries, all the way along.
Yeah.
Saturday they open to the public. You can pop in and out and taste as well, which is sort of not quite down this section, but close by.
So it can get just as busy. I would say go early if you want to avoid the crowds, because it can get almost as busy as Borough, but it has a much more local Londoners feel to it.
Really lovely. Jennifer's asked that is Maltby Street Market, Maltby, Maltby, Maltby Street. Yeah. And just around the corner from Borough Market is this one as well, which is Vinegar Yard, which again, it's only got a few stores, probably maybe 8 to 10, but it's this lovely spot that again is more local than it is touristy. So Borough Market can get very, very busy. Vinegar Yard here you can see is quite busy, but whenever I've been, it's been fairly relaxed, and they've got
I mean there is literally so many now that, and again that's 10 minutes for me on bike, but I just forgotten about them because I mentioned to you go the other direction and you come to Flatiron, which is kind of similar, big outdoor area, and was massively insanely popular during the World Cup because they had big screens there.
Exactly. They did very well on doing things like that.
Literally lines.
This is
half a mile long.
This is Mercato Metropolitano in Elephant and Castle, which is quite a new foodie market, probably a year or two.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's probably 3 or 4 now. It's been there a while. It's pretty big, as well, and it's very sort of community focused, a sort of social enterprise. They've got a cinema there. They do yoga classes, so it's all it's not big sort of conglomerates. It's all very community focused and sort of small businesses basically. And they've now got a new one in a church in Mayfair, which couldn't really be any different if you wanted to take 2 areas of London. Mayfair, very fancy, all the the best embassies there, little shishi galleries, and whereas Elephant is kind of famous for being the cheapest place to buy in Zone 1.
Yes. And there's a couple of other places which are sort of evening street markets. So if you're looking for evening street food, places like Dinorama, which is really fantastic.
Yeah, I mean, if you want food and you're out having a few drinks on a Friday and Saturday night, because this is pretty much right in the heart of Shoreditch, which is kind of where all the cool kids go these days for drinking. I wouldn't know because that was a long time ago. But yeah, I'll go to Dinorama in the day when there's far less people there. But yeah, if you want to, it's a whole eating drinking vibe.
Yeah.
And Dinorama's part of Street Feast, so I think it's 3 or 4 others now. So you've got one which is a bit sanitised at Canary Wharf. But then you've got Hawker House.
That's very
cool area, isn't it, Alex? Called Surrey Quays.
That's a very cool area. Yeah, that's probably about 10 minutes on the bike from me, Hawker House. Yeah, and if you're after kind of street food in the evening with a bit of entertainment and stuff going on, then these are the ones to go for. Dinorama, Hawker House. Yeah, they're fantastic, aren't they?
Box Park as well, of course.
Box Park.
Circling London slowly.
So there's a huge variety of amazing places, kind of all budgets and all tastes in London, which I think is what's so amazing. And we've had a few questions as well. Oh, Hannah says, great place. I think that was Mercato Metropolitano as well. Pepe says he's really hungry and he's on a diet.
Yeah, no.
You picked the worst day, Pepe.
Afternoon tea this afternoon.
Chloe says, are you looking forward to dining after lockdown? I'm going to change that slightly to what are you looking forward to most after lockdown?
Did Pepe say about his diet? Did he mention that?
He did mention his diet,
yeah. You probably shouldn't be watching this while you're on a 1,600 calories diet. I'm doing insanity at the minute, so I'm going 4,000 calories a day at the minute.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, Chloe's asked, what are you looking forward to eating most after lockdown?
My flatmate, she just got a George Foreman, so I tried a couple of burgers in there. But as I say, going back to the guys who set up Meat Liquor, they're because I remember when I did a food lecture on the Blue Badge course, and people were quite shocked because a lot of people maybe haven't eaten a burger or they just think burger, McDonald's, Burger King. But having one of these, and because there's plenty of them now, these kind of luxury burgers, and it's all the finest ingredients. They'll have gone to massive lengths trying out hundreds of types of bread, hundreds of types of cheeses. I think again, Heston Blumenthal, tried to do the perfect burger, and it just becomes like a sort of a love and a passion to create the perfect burger. So yeah, maybe a nice juicy burger.
Nice juicy burger from somewhere good like Meat Liquor. Hannah's asked, is there something you've eaten overseas that you wish you could get in London but can't yet?
Ooh, I can't think of something specifically, but I remember, and this is weird because I've been to Thailand as well, and I lived in Australia for 18 months, and Australia still probably holds the top spot for Thai food, in my opinion.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, so better Thai food, even better than Churchill Arms. Well, listen, we're gonna leave it there, Dave. Thank you so much. We've got massive over time. These are getting longer and longer every day. As long as people are watching, we'll just keep going. No, it's fine. I love how passionate you are about food in London. But listen, thank you so much. It's been lovely to have a chat with you about one of your major fashions. Sarah Churchill says she's looking for a proper espresso.
I saw that. Yeah. And I don't drink coffee, so I'm probably not the person to ask on that. Or beer.
We'll do an espresso tour with Sarah Churchill.
Yeah.
But thank you so much. I'm going to be back tomorrow with Women's Wednesdays talking about the lovely Barbara Hepworth. So come back at 3 for that. Thursday, we are in the East End with our lovely colleague Pepe, who is on a diet. You might mention it. He'll be there talking about the East End of London, which I'm really looking forward to. And when I put a little thing on my stories asking what people are looking forward to, most people, or the majority of people, came back and said Thursday for the East End. So that's going to be great. And Friday, and I just have to double check that we can still link to the Tudor period, that we're going to be having a meet and greet with Elizabeth I this week.
Oh, amazing.
It's another one for the kids. We had Henry VIII 2 weeks ago. So this week it is going to be Elizabeth I. And Ask Me Anything for Queen Elizabeth on Friday. So listen, thank you so much, Dave. I'm going to love you and leave you. See you all tomorrow at 3 o'clock, everyone. Bye.
I'm off for a snack.
Off for a snack. So is Pepe.
Bye.